Here we are again with another installment of Biology from the Basement Special Edition. Ryder and Michael teach us about arthropods. So let's have a fact of the day so that we can get started. Speaking of arthropods, an insect known as the bombardier beetle is known for having a defense where it stores two different chemicals separate inside of its body, hydrogen quinone and hydrogen peroxide. And when they are threatened, they combine these chemicals and release them. And when these two chemicals combine, they cause a chemical reaction which can result in temperatures as high as boiling water to fight off predators. So there's a pretty interesting adaptation that arthropods have. And as you can see with our buddy the scorpion here, we know of a few other pretty helpful adaptations that the arthropods have as well. So, arthropods are multicellular. They are invertebrates. Now, arthropods include all kinds of things. They are the largest phylum of all living things. They include insects, spiders, crustaceans, millipedes, centipedes, potato bugs, like all of the critters and creepy crawly things that that have a segmented body, basically, whether they live on land or on water, right? We did the crustaceans separate because they are pretty unique to just marine environments for the most part. But as you can see, there are a lot of little bugs and critters that are in there, right? We know that things like spiders and scorpions are not insects, but they do belong to a greater group called the arthropod. So, another important piece of information, right? They have an external skeleton. They have no backbone. They have a very simple brain and a ventral nerve cord, right? All of these invertebrates, their nerves run down their belly side as opposed to down their back where it's less exposed. Digestive system is continuous. They have a dorsal heart on the underside. Could be considered a three-chambered heart, but it's a very simple heart, as they have a relatively open circulatory system, as we've talked about. Down on the further side, they are cold-blooded, and they have antennae that detect chemicals, and eyes and hairs that detect touch, and sight for their sensory organs. Also, they don't have set lungs or gills. They have what are called book lungs, a little bit simpler format, where sometimes the air gets pressed out of the sides of their bodies, like those weird hissing cockroaches. Here is a diagram of a spider, which is a good example of an average arthropod. Not all of them are insects. Where it just shows the continuous body system, where the nerves are. This, of course, obviously is a female who carries her eggs internally, even though fertilization is external. Here are the book lungs, where they just breathe out of their abdomen in this case. But that's a great diagram that shows how they have a network of nerves in certain parts of their body and a simple brain and, the basic senses. They're very diverse with what they eat, insects, arthropods as a whole, whether it's insects or arachnids or centipedes, millipedes. They can be decomposers, they can be carnivores, herbivores. They eat everything. Same thing, they pretty much live everywhere, right? That's why we put crustaceans in their own group, because arthropods have taken over the ocean with all of the crabs and lobsters and krill, and even barnacles are part of the arthropod group crustaceans. So they're pretty much everywhere, even in Antarctica, surprisingly enough. Reproductive system. They have external fertilization. They are egg layers. They do not care for their young. In some cases they do, but for the most part they don't care for their young, and they do not care for their they don't care for their young or nourish with milk. Excuse me. Thinking too much at the same time as I'm trying to talk here. So, subgroups, of course, this is for my benefit. As I asked for in your assignment, you don't have anything to fill in, but this does a great job of showing those different groups, right? You've got your Myriapoda, those are all your centipedes and your millipedes, the Chelicerata, which are your spiders, ticks, mites, crabs, as well as scorpions. Then the hexapod, right? Hex meaning 6. So those are all of your insects. And then your crustaceans, which we'll learn all about later. So here are some examples. They're a very wide variety, as you can see. And these guys picked the horseshoe crab. It's a pretty interesting species. So good job. And you're welcome. And thank you for watching. We'll be back with more animal group shortly.